Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're looking at something pretty interesting you've brought along.
Yeah, it's a sales page basically for a guide called the Baby Sleep Miracle Guide by someone named Mary-Ann Schuler.
Okay, a sales page. So it's like one single source, but I guess packed with claims, maybe some user comments.
Exactly. Claims, testimonials, promises,
Yeah,
but also, and this is important, some key disclaimers and context hidden in there too.
right.
So our mission for this deep dive is really just to unpack this specific source. What does it say? What ideas does it push? What solutions does it claim to offer for, the classic baby sleep battles?
And just focus on how this page presents that information.
Precisely. We're looking at the approach described right here in this material.
Makes sense. And let's face it, anyone who's had a baby or knows someone who has understands that deep, almost soul-crushing exhaustion from lack of sleep.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you stumble across something online promising, like simple, holistic ways to get your baby sleeping,
It grabs you
yeah,
instantly
yeah, you pay attention. So we want to look at how this specific material taps into that desperation and what kind of answers it holds out.
because there's just so much conflicting baby sleep advice out there, isn't there? It's overwhelming.
Totally.
And this source, well, it literally uses the word miracle in the title. So we're just here to dissect the message, what's highlighted, what's promised, and what else is kind of embedded in the text.
Okay, let's dig in. Right near the top, it hits you with a pretty big number.
Mm-hmm.
It says, each year, thousands of mothers regulate their child's sleeping pattern holistically using this method. Thousands.
Yeah, and notice the framing. It says, this knowledge is something child psychologists and clinical researchers are revealing for the first time.
Okay. So holistic, but also scientific and new.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
trying to hit both angles, natural, gentle, but also, cutting-edge research.
Yeah.
Powerful combination.
And it makes this huge claim, too, doesn't it? Something about working for any baby.
Yes, simple and customized steps that work for any baby. That promise of universality. Well, that's incredibly appealing when you feel like your situation is unique or nothing else has worked.
Any baby. Wow, that's a bold statement. Okay, so then it gets into specifics, things you'll supposedly learn. The first one is really prominent.
Right. The most common bedtime mistake, which keeps your little one from sleeping.
A specific mistake. And they put a number on it.
They do. Over 45% of parents do this wrong. Now, obviously, the page doesn't tell us where that 45% comes from.
No methodology cited.
No. But on a sales page, its job is clear, right? It makes you immediately think, wait, am I doing that? Is there some simple thing I'm missing?
Yeah, it creates that immediate self-doubt, that need to know. Like maybe it is just one simple fix.
Precisely. That hope is compelling when you're exhausted.
Ah.
So what's the next big concept it introduces?
It's this idea of helping your child sleep by emptying his emotional backpack.
An emotional backpack. That's quite an image for a baby.
It is, and it says it's an easy technique recommended by Dr. Laura Markham.
So what does the page suggest this actually means? Emptying an emotional backpack.
Well, the source material, this page, describes it as a way to release pent-up feelings or stress that might be messing with sleep.
Okay. The idea being that even tiny babies have emotional stuff going on that affects them.
Apparently so. And addressing it helps them sleep. It even claims doing this can improve your own health.
Ah, linking the baby's calm to the parent's well-being. Which, makes sense. Less crying baby, less stressed parent.
Definitely. That backpack image, it does make you curious about the actual technique.
Okay.
And then it throws a curveball, something that seems totally wrong based on typical advice.
It really does. It talks about the counterintuitive reason why your child sleeps best in a noisy environment.
Noisy. But isn't everything usually about blackout blinds and total silence or maybe white noise?
Exactly. That's why it's framed as counterintuitive. The page leans right into that surprise factor.
So it's not just any noise.
Apparently not. It claims there's one specific noise, scientifically proven, mind you, to help a baby doze off peacefully.
Okay. Scientifically proven. Does it say how?
Well, it gives a specific reference, which is interesting. It mentions a little-known study done by the Queen Charlotte's Hospital in London.
Mentioning a specific hospital study.
Yeah.
Even if they don't link to it or anything.
Right, it adds that little bit of perceived credibility. It makes that specific point feel more grounded than just an idea.
Gotcha. So the core hooks seem to be thousands helped, a secret common mistake, this emotional backpack thing, and a surprising noise secret backed by a specific named study.
Those are the big promises designed to pull you in, definitely. And the page usually leads you towards some kind of free presentation to get you closer to buying the actual guide.
Which it mentions costs $37, right?
Yeah, the price is stated there too.
Okay, but there's more on the page than just the main sales pitch. You mentioned comments.
Yes, and the comments section is actually quite revealing. You see people sharing experiences, like someone named Morella Cruz saying it really works, and her son's sleep improved dramatically in a week.
Right, those anecdotes. They build social proof.
Exactly. And another comment from Judy Lee talks about being impressed by the free info and feeling the author truly cares about mothers. That speaks to building trust even before a purchase.
And the questions people ask, they tell a story too, don't they?
They really do. Someone called Samantha Higgins mentions learning about the dangers of baby swings, suggesting the guide might cover broader safety topics, not just sleep methods.
Interesting.
And then there's a really key question from Regina Wilberth. She asks if this method is similar to ones by Dr. Bucknam, Dr. Weissbluth, or Dr. Karp.
Oh, wow. Those are the big names in baby sleep. Ferber, Weissbluth, Karp.
Yeah.
Everyone knows them.
Right. So Regina asking that tells you that people landing on this page might have already tried those well-known methods.
And maybe they didn't work, so they're looking for something different.
That seems likely. It sets this guide up as an alternative. And crucially, Mary-Ann Schuler, the author, she actually replies directly to Regina in the comments.
Oh, what does she say?
She says, quite clearly, the short answer is no.
Okay, so she's directly saying it's not like those other methods.
Yes. And she doubles down, saying her techniques are based on newest scientific research, and she's never seen any approach similar to hers. This reinforces that new and unique claim from earlier.
Got it. So she's actively positioning it as distinct. There's another question, too, about autism.
Yeah, Chloe Jackson asks if the method works for a child with autism. Shows parents are bringing really specific, complex needs to this.
And what's the author's response there?
Mary-Ann replies to Chloe saying, I made sure my method can be used with any child, even babies who are special like yours. So again, reinforcing that universal claim.
Okay. Seems consistent. But you said this reply was important for another reason.
Yes, because right after making that broad claim about it working for any child, she adds this really critical sentence.
What is it?
She writes, please note that I'm not a doctor and that I always advise to consult with your physician because nothing is more important than the safety and well-being of your love.
Whoa. Okay, so right there in the comments, she says, I'm not a doctor and talk to your physician.
Exactly. A major disclaimer stated directly by her, nested right inside a comment reply claiming wide applicability.
That's quite the juxtaposition.
And it's not just buried in the comments. This message is repeated, even more formally, down in the official disclaimer section at the bottom of the page.
Ah, the standard fine print section.
Right. And it explicitly states, quote, the website's content and the product for sale is based upon the author's opinion and is provided solely on an AS and as available basis.
Based upon the author's opinion, that sounds very different from revealed by child psychologists and clinical researchers.
It does, doesn't it? A very different framing. And the disclaimer continues, telling you, the user, that you should do your own research and confirm the information with other sources. And always review the information carefully with your professional healthcare provider before using any of the protocols.
Okay. So check with your doctor first. The language seems pretty unambiguous there.
Extremely clear. It puts the responsibility squarely on the user to verify and get professional advice.
And it probably covers the author legally, too.
Oh, absolutely. It says neither the retailer, ClickBank, nor the author are giving medical advice. And the info isn't meant to replace advice from a physician or licensed provider. Standard stuff for health-related products sold this way.
Okay. So pulling it all together.
Oh.
We have this sales page that does a really good job highlighting these intriguing ideas. You know, the holistic method, the thousands helped, the secret mistake, the emotional thing, the noisy room.
All designed to hook parents desperate for sleep solutions.
Yeah. But then, within the same source, both in the author's own words in the comments and very formally in the disclaimer, it provides this absolutely crucial context. She's not a doctor. It's her opinion. It's sold as is. It's not medical advice. And you absolutely should talk to a doctor before trying anything.
That tension is really the core finding here, isn't it? The persuasive marketing language promising results lives side by side with the legal and ethical language managing expectations and pointing towards professional help.
Right. It really highlights how when you encounter sources like this, especially about health or kids' health,
Which is so sensitive.
exactly, you have to read everything. The exciting claims are only part of the story. The disclaimers, the context about what the advice actually is, opinion, not medical fact that's just as critical, maybe more so.
It's a perfect example of how marketing, especially online for these kinds of topics, walks this fine line. They need to make a compelling case, but they also have to include those caveats.
And it shows that even in a sales pitch, the essential context is often there if you look for it and actually read it.
Definitely. And it hammers home the point that, particularly with anything involving children's health and well-being, online guides and sales pages, no matter how convincing they sound,
Yeah.
they just cannot replace personalized advice from a qualified doctor or healthcare professional. They're supplemental, maybe, at best. Professional oversight is always key.
Okay, so let's recap briefly. We dove into this specific source, the sales page. We saw the claims. Holistic, unique, science-based, thousands helped.
Pinpointing specific things like the common mistake, the emotional backpack, the counterintuitive noise idea, even citing a study.
But we also highlighted the absolutely vital context provided within that same source. The author saying she's not a doctor, the formal disclaimer stating it's opinion, not medical advice, and the strong advice to consult a physician for safety.
Right.
So for you listening, this deep dive really underscores something important. When you're evaluating information online, especially for sensitive stuff like health, you can't just focus on the shiny promises.
No, you have to actively look for and weigh all the information presented. That includes the disclaimers, the statements about what the information is and isn't.
It demands really that you use critical thinking. How do you personally balance that? The pull of a potential solution pitched really well in marketing.
Against the crucial, maybe less exciting advice to always check with a professional first.
Yeah. What's the responsibility of the person selling the idea to be clear about limits? And what's our responsibility as the ones consuming it to prioritize safety and expert advice, especially when it's about our kids?
It leaves you with a really interesting question to ponder, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
In this age of endless online information and clever marketing, how do you personally navigate that line between being open to new ideas or potential solutions and recognizing the absolute necessity of consulting qualified experts for anything related to health?
It's a tricky balance for sure.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the layers of just one sales page.
Thanks for having me.